Have you ever felt like your dreams were just out of reach because of a language barrier? Imagine moving to a new country, facing a new culture, and learning a new language, all while chasing your lifelong dream. This is the inspiring journey of Sophia, a determined young woman from Brazil who overcame incredible odds to become a doctor in Canada. Introduction. Hello, Fluent English 24/7 family. Today, I want to share an incredible story that will resonate with anyone who has ever faced challenges while pursuing their dreams. Meet Sophia, a passionate and determined individual from Brazil who had one dream: to become a doctor. Despite the obstacles of learning English and adapting to a new culture, Sophia's journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and hard work. If you have big dreams to become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, businessman, or anything great, then you need English 100%. There is no doubt about it. English is spoken by 1.5 billion people around the world. It is the language of travel, business, and the internet. If you don't speak English, you might miss big opportunities like getting a better job, making international friends, or enjoying movies and books in their original language. But don't worry, you can start learning today and become part of this global community. If I can learn English and achieve my dream, you can too. Join me as we dive into her inspiring story and discover how she turned her dreams into reality. My name is Sophia, and I am from Brazil. I was born in a small town in Brazil. My family was not rich, not poor, just middle class. We had enough to live, but we couldn't afford luxuries. My parents worked very hard every day. My father was a taxi driver, and my mother was a school teacher. They always told me education is the key to success. Since I was a little girl, I had only one dream: to become a doctor. I still remember the moment that changed my life. I was 10 years old. I was in the hospital because my little brother was very sick. He had a very high fever, and we were scared. My parents were crying. Then a doctor came. He was calm, confident, and full of kindness. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. I will take care of your son." I watched him work. He checked my brother, gave him medicine, and spoke with so much knowledge. After a few hours, my brother's fever was gone. He was safe. At that moment, I knew one day I would become a doctor and save lives. But as I grew up, I realized something terrible. If you want to become a doctor, you need English 100%. All medical books are in English. All medical research is in English. Even in my country, doctors needed English to study, to communicate, to work in hospitals. And my English was terrible. I went to a public school where they taught very little English. I knew basic words like hello and how are you. But when I saw a full English sentence, I felt lost. I remember in school my English teacher asked me, "Sophia, can you read this sentence?" I looked at the book. The words were dancing. I could not read. I could not understand. I wanted to cry. "I don't know, miss," I whispered. The class laughed. That day, I went home and sat alone in my room. I thought, how will I become a doctor if I can't even read a simple sentence in English? I felt hopeless. But then something happened that changed everything. One evening, my father came home tired from work. He sat next to me and said, "Sophia, what is wrong? You are always sad these days." I looked at him and said, "Papa, I want to become a doctor, but my English is bad. Without English, I cannot study medicine." My father was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "If English is stopping you, then learn English. Go to a place where everyone speaks English." I was shocked. "But Papa, we don't have money for that." He smiled and said, "We don't have much, but we have enough. Your dreams are important." That night, my parents and I sat together and talked about the best place to learn English. Why did we choose Canada? 1. Everyone speaks English. I would have no choice but to speak English every day. 2. Great education system. Canada has the best schools for learning English. 3. Multicultural and friendly people. People in Canada are warm and kind to international students. 4. Affordable compared to other countries. Studying in the USA or the UK was too expensive, but Canada was possible. It was not an easy decision. We were a middle-class family. My parents had some savings, but not much. They made a huge sacrifice. They used almost all their savings to pay for my flight, my English school, and my first few months of living in Canada. Before leaving, my mother held my hand and said, "Sophia, we are giving you everything we have. Promise me you will not give up." I had tears in my eyes. I hugged her and said, "I promise, Mama." And then, with one suitcase, a little money, and a big dream, I flew to Canada. The moment I landed in Toronto, Canada, I felt like an alien. The weather was freezing. In Brazil, it was always warm. But here, my hands were like ice. The food was strange. I missed my mother's homemade Brazilian rice and beans. The people were nice, but they spoke so fast. And then the biggest problem, English. At the airport, a man asked me, "Hey, do you need a taxi?" I panicked. I did not understand. I just smiled and said, "Yes." He said, "Where to?" I had no idea what he said. My brain stopped working. Finally, I showed him the address on my phone.